What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? AJ Gore here, and sorry about being about 3-4 minutes late. I clicked the go live button and did the countdown, and well, the go live didn't work, but the countdown sure did. So now we are officially live. We got it going. Gene Jensen in the house. We got James Elam and Mr. Brent Chapman. What's going on, gentlemen? How are you guys doing?
Hello,
Pretty
hello.
good.
Ah, good deal, good deal. So while we were pretending to be live a few minutes ago, my dog was trying to make an appearance, and she's trying to come over again. So we'll try to keep her off the screen here. So get my wife to maybe put her in the other room, babe. So, all right. So let's go ahead and get things kicking off here. We got a lot of people popping in. Of course, my Facebook peeps are going to be jumping in right now. There we go. Now, Gene, I know you've been busy. James and Brent, you guys both just came off of some MLF competition this past week. You guys literally like just got home.
Yes, we did.
I came home a little early.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. So that doesn't mean that was a good showing if you came home a little early. Brent, I know you had a little bit better showing, but Gene, I think lately you probably had the biggest home run so far.
Yeah, it's one of the bigger tournaments that I've won out of a kayak for sure.
Now you're now joining some good company, of course, of our other anglers, Brent and James, on having a blue trophy under your belt.
Yeah. Yeah,
Nice.
theirs are a little bit more lucrative than mine, but yeah, it was a fun tournament, really, really tough against some really good anglers. I think it was 194 anglers.
Wow.
In that tournament. So
quite a bit of, dang, that's some competition. Now, how many days was it? A 3-day tournament or just 2-day tournament?
Just 2.
And you guys, for a lot of people who don't follow kayak bass fishing, or at least that circuit itself in the Bassmaster Kayak Series, it's not a weighted circuit like, say, James and Brent go by weight and a lot of the things they do. You guys go by length?
Yep. Yeah, best the longest 5 of the day. So, and then of course 2-day tournaments 10. Yeah.
Okay. Now in MLF still, you guys are still going by weight, but is there anything changing in 2025 to where it's like as much weight as you can stack, or is it going to be a different platform again where they're switching it up again?
They are pretty famous for switching stuff up, but no, that next year is every fish counts, and you know they'll announce a target or a scoreable bass weight before the events. Most of the time, it's either 1.18 or 2 pounds based on the fishery, right, James?
Yeah, I was just thinking about what Conroe might be. What's your feeling there? Because that's normally like a 15-inch lake, I think, or something like that, or maybe more.
I like to think it's a 1.8, but who knows? I'm done guessing anymore.
Yeah, I mean, at 1.8, it'll be like not a keeper there, but that'll make that tournament probably a little bit better if it's a 1.8. I would say on the numbers for sure.
If I remember right, Conroe's not that great of a fishery anyway, especially when we beat it up for several days.
Yeah, it's small. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough time of year.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for a couple of our viewers just tuning in, just so you guys know, we're going to be doing a giveaway on tonight's show, but also in honor of Gene's recent victory over there. Let's see if I can almost touch it with my thumb. I can reach over and grab it. But anyways, we're going to be giving away a MegaJaws Elite Baitcasting reel, which, Gene, I'm pretty sure you were using like the gold and kind of that graphite or charcoal colored version, the 7 2-to-1.
Yep. Yeah, throwing a spinnerbait, I was throwing a 7 2-to-1.
Now, what I'm going to do to up the ante is I'm going to allow whoever wins that bait casting reel to pick whether they want the 9 1-to-1 or the 7 speed. Now, do you have a preference? Some people hate speed and they're like, it's too fast, won't use it. I'm not that guy. Screw it. I'm going to stick with like a 7 2-to-1 or 6 6-to-1. How do you feel about high speed gear ratios?
It depends on the technique. I love the higher speed ones for frog fishing, for flipping and pitching when I've got to get a bait back in, especially when you're working around cover like cypress trees like I was on Lake Bistineau. You know, flipping trees and happen to get multiple angles as you're drifting by. You really want to be able to do it quick.
Okay. So now you won that tournament. If I was reading correctly, you pretty much threw a spinnerbait.
Yeah, the whole time.
And that banged it out for you, except for one fish, right? You caught one fish on another technique. And what was that?
On a frog, on one of the old Zoom frogs that are like the paddle tails, but they're real hard rubber. They don't make them anymore. And yeah, it was that was just one of the keepers actually for the second day came off of that frog.
I like this this comment right here in the section. He writes, China boys. So that's another thing we're going to be touching on, ladies and gentlemen, is Brent and James just came back from being in China and actually fished an MLF event over in China. And we'll get into that here in just a minute. We're going to talk to Gene a little bit more about that blue trophy back there and how it felt to get that under his belt. Now, you've won quite a few other tournaments. Have they all pretty much, do you focus primarily on just kayak tournaments, Gene? Or do you engage in, because I know you've got an aluminum boat.
I had an aluminum boat. Yep.
You did get rid of it.
Yeah, it's all kayak content now. Alumacraft stopped making all-whale boats back in 2019. And I stayed with them for two more years, hoping and praying and wishing that they would come back and make more all-whale boats. And they never did. And so, I tried to stay loyal, but they pretty much, you can't do it if you can't use one of their boats. But so I ended up selling my boat to a guide on Chickamauga who had his run into the back of by a crackhead on the way home from the lake one day. And so it was in my barn. I wasn't using it. High school tournaments were over. And he needed it he would have been without a boat for 6 months. And that's a lot of income, that he wasn't going to be able to make. Right. So I told him to come pick it up. And then when insurance came through, he could decide whether he wanted to buy it again. So he ended up buying it. So
nice.
But, and he's caught giants out of it. He caught a 14.10 or 14.6 out of it January 4th. And him and his clients have caught multiple to double digits out of it since then. Wow. So like he's in the 40s now, 40s or 50s for this year.
Now, what's your personal best, if you don't mind me asking?
10-12.
So that guy's already set the standard for big bass out of that boat.
Oh, well, yeah, he fishes live 10 and 11-inch gizzard shad. So,
oh wow, well, at least he's living up to the hype of what that boat is capable of. So nice. Now, are you looking to get back into boat stuff?
Maybe, but I love kayak fishing. It's so much fun. Plus, my boat's so rigged out. And I can get, these guys with live scope, from what I understand, watching it and stuff like that, they can't get super close to them. I can catch fish right at the boat, looking at them with live scope, and it doesn't seem to spook them as much as a big boat. And I think it has more to do with water displacement and that kind of stuff. But I caught a 9-pounder under my boat on the bed earlier this spring. She was just sitting there, and I dropped down to her and caught her right up under the boat at 4, and she's about 4.5 feet deep.
Oh, wow.
But I do that often.
Nice. So now you said your rig is pretty, or your kayak is pretty rigged out. Now I was looking at pictures of it just the other day, and actually I'm sure I could pull up a picture that you just posted on your background. Actually, I think it's your cover photo on Facebook. But what does that thing weigh?
I won't let them weigh
it. Now, is there regulations against that?
No. No, it just can't exceed manufacturer stuff, which I know it doesn't, because that one will hold 500 pounds. But yeah, it was because I rig it so much. And when they say weight limit, it's where it loses its not ability to float, but it loses performance when that happens. So, but
now I don't know if you guys can. Let me see if that's a better. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That actually shows it larger that way. But my Lord, that thing is how long now? I'm sure it's you haul it on a trailer.
Yep.
Completely rigged. You don't have to assemble a whole bunch of stuff and set it all in there.
Yep.
You've got it on
I shared my screen with you. Pop it over to and
gotcha.
Pop it over to mine and drop it. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, that is a bit of a bit. Oh, there it is. There's Elon's toy right there. I see it now.
So I've got a Motor Guide XI3 right there, and I got two 10-inch HDS Pros. And then that's my Starlink. And then I run a 100 amp hour battery in the back and a 75 up front. 75 mainly just for backup. It runs my electronics, but it's also backup. So if my 100 amp hour dies, I can get myself back to the boat ramp. Is mainly the reason for 75.
That's crazy.
Yep.
So that thing is, I don't even want to know what retail value is on all that.
I don't know. I mean, I got active target, and I've got a sniper pole right there with the active target on there, which I don't know why I had it in the water, because I didn't use it any of the tournament. I guess I just got it out of the way or something. I don't know. So
that is pretty cool, man. That is awesome. All right. Now, so your keys to victory you were throwing a spinnerbait on the MegaJaws Elite, which we're going to give one away, folks. So make sure that you guys are commenting and liking this, and that's how I'm going to find you guys in the comment section. Is make sure you're commenting. So whether this is live or this is, and of course, if you guys want to take advantage of what I'm going to be giving away live tonight, which you got right here, can't show everybody yet, but but make sure you're commenting. That's how I'm going to find you and discover you in the comments. Pick your random, and somebody already like this one right here. See this right here? This could be a comment that gets you a win. Already asking, did I win? So that's a comment. That is, you are entered with just that right there. Brent, you doing all right, man? You need some coffee, brother?
I'm good. Coffee sounds good, but I'm good.
Now, Brent's been traveling, like you said. We'll get into that about China. Then he had to come straight back from China, jump in the truck. Truck was idling. As soon as he got back from the airport, he got to the house, jumped in the truck, drove to Texas, right? We
actually stopped by the farm and fed the deer, and then we went to Texas on our way.
Man, and did you beat James there, or did James beat you there?
Oh, I beat him there because I'm the guy who likes to get there a day early. So all these guys, they're all organized and they get there just a few hours beforehand. But I got to get there a day beforehand.
All right. Now
I think James is a little bit closer too.
I think so too. Yeah. So, but Gene, like I was saying, you were using the MegaJaws Elite, throwing a spinnerbait. What rod did you have it on?
It was what's the orange rod?
Medium and Pro.
Yeah, yep. And it was on the swim bait one, the paddle tail swim bait rod, because it's a little bit more of a moderate, and it's got a lot of backbone. Because when they bit, you had to get them away from the trees, and so I had to be able to muscle them through. I had 17-pound Seagar on there, and just any fish I could muscle and steer the way I wanted to steer it. So
good choice, Gene. That's one of my favorite rods.
I just talked about that last week whenever I was reading that detail, the description you put out on how you achieved that. And I was like, throwing a spinnerbait on that swim bait rod. I was like, that sounds like somebody we know. And I asked everybody in the comment section, of course, it's Brent. I mean, we've talked about that quite a bit. That is a go-to for Brent right there. So
it's my chatterbait rod too. I have 4 of them because of that. It's just a really good open hook rod when you've really got to put some meat to them.
Nice. So now I'm going to jump over and actually touch base on the China system here or the trip that just transpired. Now, Brent, it happens. Don't worry.
Sorry.
No, you're good. It's your turn. So, but I love pets. So, I mean, it's going to happen. So, but what's funny is actually, I don't know if I ever told you or you guys ever said, one time I had Al on the show. And Al was talking to me about some of the new rods. I don't remember what it was. And he had his dog kept messing with him. And he finally had to poke the dog, get out of here. And the dog ended up yelping. And he didn't mean to make it yelp on the screen. And I'm like, oh, geez. So that's all one of my favorite things that ever happened out there. And everybody in the comment section was laughing about it. And Al's like, sorry about that, guys.
We all love our dogs.
Yes, absolutely. But so you get a phone call. Take us through how that actually went down and what your thoughts were and just the whole basis. And of course, James, we're going to get your opinion on that too.
Well, I think it was mid-September, and we just gotten done a few weeks earlier with the St. Lawrence River, and we're kind of just tying up loose ends for the year and starting our unwinding for the year and getting ready for 2025. And I was getting excited to do some early Kansas deer hunting in October, and out of the blue, we get a call from Al at Cast King, and he's like, "What are you doing October? What was it, 9th through the 15th or something like that?" And I was like, "Well, I'm hoping to hunt a little bit." He's like, "Well, how about you take a trip to China?" And I'm like, "Well, okay." And then the race was off to get my passport was expired. And I had to get it expedited, get it done. And it was very nerve-wracking because, anything with our government doesn't happen fast. Right. And we couldn't get an answer until it literally showed up. And they're all wanting to get an answer out of us and didn't really know. And finally, it just shows up. And the girls at Cast King booked us a ticket. Next thing I know, a couple of days later, I'm meeting James in LA to head to China.
Oof. Now, did you guys had a straight flight from LA to China, or did you stop anywhere and jump another plane?
LA to Beijing.
Wow. How long is that flight?
what was it, James? Like 15 hours?
15.
15 hours.
Did you guys get to sit next to each other?
Behind, he was behind me on the aisle while I was on the window.
Ah, nice. Now, was it a roomy flight, or were you guys still pretty cramped? I mean, 15 hours.
No, it was economy for sure. I know next time we go to China, I'm hoping maybe we can sweet talk the right people into giving us one of those nice cushy little cubbies that I think first class had with their own like beds, and that looked like it'd make a 15-hour flight much easier. But it believe it or not, it really wasn't as bad as I expected it to be.
All right. Now, are you James, you or Brent, are either of you the kind of guys that can get on a plane and zonk out, or are you the kind of person that just can't get you're just restless on a plane? I'm restless. I can't zonk. I just can't do it.
I slept a fair bit. I don't know about James.
Yeah, I can sleep a little bit, but it's just not good sleep. And I mean, if you're on a plane for 15 hours, it is just like punishment. For me, just holding still for that long. I'll sleep 2 or 3 hours, then I'll get up and I won't even have to go to the bathroom, but just to get up and stretch your legs was like a big deal. Just sitting there for that long is probably the worst part of the whole thing.
Gene, how about you? You any good? Or do you fly much, Gene? Or you
not anymore? But when I was stationed in the Army, it all depended. I was in Hawaii, so I would fly from Hawaii to Atlanta a couple times a year, and then actually, most people don't know I play the guitar and sing country music. So I did that in the Army, and they would fly me to different duty stations around the country from Hawaii, and I would travel a lot doing that. So,
golly, Gene, you're like a jack of all trades. You were in the Army.
You
were a musician
slow down.
in the Army. You were in radiology.
Yeah, well, that's what I did in the Army.
Was radiology?
Yeah, I was an X-ray tech.
Now, did you play the guitar while somebody was getting an X-ray?
No. The Army has a bunch of talent shows, and I got found through talent shows. And so when the command sergeant major of the medical command found out that I did that, he put me to good use. So
there you go. That works out. Cool. So, all right, Brent, James, you guys land in China. You go straight to the Cask King headquarters. What was that like? No, straight to no. Went to go sleep for a little bit and hang out.
So we flew into Beijing, and from what I understand, the Cask King headquarters is about 20 hours from there, if not a little bit more. Huge country, right? But to fish this tournament that we wanted to fish, it was closer to Beijing, so that's kind of how that all worked out. Okay. We didn't get to visit headquarters.
So you guys never got to visit headquarters at all?
Nope.
Oh, bum deal, man. I was gonna.
But we had the whole Cask King crew there to chaperone us and get us around Japan. So
China,
or to get us around China. So
Japan
thank you again, girls, if you're watching, and look at me. Good. We appreciate you guys getting us around China and holding our hand the whole time.
Now, did you get to see Tape Boss while you were there?
We did not get to see Tape Boss, but we actually got pandas. James and I both. Where's your panda, James?
Hold on.
We got these pandas that got to travel around China with us, and now we've got our pandas that hang out here with us at the house. So thank you again to the Cask King crew.
All right, Gene, pay attention. You got some nice trophies back there, but do you have
James has got his
Chinese
too.
panda?
Nope.
You're gonna have to level up there. You're gonna have to.
Actually, I got to tell a funny story about that. On the flight from China, I actually stopped off in Tokyo, but James was cuddled up with his panda on the trip from Beijing to Tokyo. So I don't know. He must have cuddled up with the panda on the whole trip home. Made it a little bit easier, didn't it, James?
It did. It was actually, it was really nice to set my arms on something, and I set like a whole flight. So that was mostly it. But a lot of this too, people were looking at me like I was a grown kid, but I didn't care.
Now,
hey, Rachel and Sophia, Noah says grown children, so that's why we probably got the panda.
Absolutely. Yep. Now we've got a question here. Is Chinese food good? Is it? What's the Chinese food in China actually like? I'm sure it's way different than what we have in the States.
Go ahead, James.
So we ate cow stomach. There were a lot of chicken feet, chicken paws. What else?
Really?
The meals were a lot different than I expected. Breakfast, especially, more hard-boiled eggs. I think they were nice enough to make us like some fried eggs, but I was surprised. Breakfast was more like a lunch, and dinners. I like to eat a lot of crazy stuff. Probably the best thing by far that we ate a lot of was duck. The duck was really good. There were some things that I tried them at least once. I don't know if I'll try them again, but it was really an eye opener to me of how healthy they actually eat over there, probably compared to what we do actually here in the States.
Probably. Now, getting into the competition. So Ryan says fishing in China must have been something. What? I know that you guys, okay, let's start with you guys get to the water. Let me rewind that. Gear. Did you guys take your own personal gear, or did Cast King set up saying, hey, we'll just have what you guys want? Give us a list. We'll have it ready. Did they rig it? Did you have to rig it? Did you have to ship it? What happened with gear and bait too? What'd you guys use? What were you allowed to use?
Go ahead, James.
Come on, James, get with it.
Yes. Like we talked about, they were 20 hours away, or Beijing's 20 hours away from the headquarters, so they actually had to ship rods and stuff like that to us in Beijing, so we could have them. So me and Brent brought our own reels, and I just brought a sack of probably like 12 different reels, and I think Brent did about the same. So that way we wouldn't have to bring rods, and we got them to order some rods for us and have those all ready, and we just kind of pieced together everything when we got there.
All right. So
it actually worked out really well.
What rod did you go with, James?
I used a lot of different rods. I used a lot of the Sages. I like the frog rod, the rivet a lot, and the jerk. I use that for top water fishing. I ended up using it for lipless fishing and for throwing a jerk bait a lot while we were there.
For American power fishing. It was all American power fishing that we did.
So Brent did the American power fishing up front, and I just kind of followed up with different stuff. But I'd get a little bit more finessey, but he did the American power fishing for sure, for the most part.
All right. Now, Brent, what did you have? Yeah, was it all you rocked orange and black the whole way?
Believe it or not, I guess it was mostly Sages that we had. I think we each had one Speed Demon Pro, the Carolina rig rod that we had for flipping and pitching, and the rest were the Sages. And that was actually the first time I'd really fished them much in competition. And those and the Speed Demon Pros, they're very similar in actions, and I was very comfortable fishing with them. I kind of let James take the lead on it, and listen to him on which rod to throw here or there. But I mean, the actions were very, very much the same, and they did great.
Awesome. Now, let's talk about the boats. Or actually, before we get into the boats, gear, like as far as tackle goes, was that provided? Did you guys bring some? Was there regulations on what you guys could throw? You said you did American power fishing. So
yeah, we brought our own, and I think James and I were both very accustomed to that, just from the standpoint of with doing so many MLF events in the past where you show up and not know where you're going to fish. I just kind of had a pretty good idea what I would do and what to pack. I think we were kind of led to believe that it was going to be very, very finessey type fishing. And we found out very quickly that American power fishing definitely got the job done there just as much. And what I got out of the deal was, I think a lot of the Chinese fishermen fished a lot like Japanese fishermen for heavily pressured fish. The fish that we fished for in this competition were not heavily pressured fish. These fish had not been fished for. And the biggest key there was cover a lot of water, put a bait in front of the fish, and you catch them. And a lot of the Chinese were very, I think, mesmerized with the way we were catching our fish by using big half-ounce spinner baits on 40-pound braid, and flipping with 16 and 20-pound fluorocarbon. all they were doing was very, very finessey techniques. And, I think overall, if weight wise, I mean, our 5 fish or our average were way better than probably most of the rest of the teams.
Huh.
Now, where did you guys place in that? Was it like 7th or was it better than 7th?
I think it was 8th. James, do you remember for sure? I think it was 8th place, but don't ask me weight or anything like that.
Nice. Now, let's talk about the boat. Now, granted, the boats you guys are on are definitely not like you've got about a 21-foot Triton that you fish out of.
Yeah.
And then, James, you're in a Phoenix, at least a 20 to 21-foot Phoenix, and probably close to the same electronics on those Phoenix and Tritons that Gene has in his 12-foot kayak. So now, would you say that Gene's got more technology in his kayak than the boats that were provided to you guys over there? Now, not saying that the Chinese boats didn't have that setup. They just looked like it was definitely, I mean, what brand were those boats? Were those Chinese boats? Were those Japanese? Were they American? I mean,
there was a huge variety of boats. There was a lot of different bass boats. There was actually the guy from Casking that won. I believe he was fishing out of what looked like similar to a Nitro, but it had like a 300 on it. And I mean, they were all decked out with live scopes and active targets. They all had lights on them, but our boats were comparable to probably a little bass tracker with probably a 25 on them, maybe a 30 horse. I promise you, Gene's kayak was probably faster than these boats with their outfit. When you think, James?
Now that's got to be something. Did you guys have a takeoff, like a blast off? Like, all right, go. Oh no! And this guy's got a 300, and you're over here with a like a Yamaha 45 horse.
Ours wouldn't even get on plane, but it was fine. The lake wasn't very big.
So it had a steering wheel though, right? You guys weren't all twisted back, twist throttle, like, oh, let's go, get in the front, like level as that.
For us, because we didn't have any electronics, so it just allowed us to just beat the bank and fish what we saw in front of us. And I know James is great at it, and so am I. And James and I got to fish on a team together several years back in the MLF Team Series, but in our own boats. But in this one, we were a team together. But I mean, James and I don't know about you, James, but I had a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed fishing with James, and I'm hoping for a rematch to go back to China and let James and I be paired up again and take them on again.
So now Mandy wants to know, what species was your primary target goal? What was this lake developed for? Because it's a new lake, isn't it? And that's one of the reasons why they had the event, was to kind of help promote that lake or something to that nature.
That's some of the big mystery about China, I would say. Wouldn't you think, James? I mean, I think a lot of these fish, from what we could decipher, they're just largemouth bass is all we had, but I believe they were stocked.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I don't believe like the lake was brand new, but maybe they just introduced the bass into it, and it kind of wanted to promote, bass fishing in that lake and in that area, and that's kind of what it seemed like to me.
All right. Now, how many fish would you say you guys brought in? So since it was stocked, was it a very good, like, did you struggle to get 10 throughout the day, or did you guys clean house?
Go ahead.
So, so how the weigh-in worked is you go catch 10 bass that were scoreable, and you would go run to the dock, and then you'd run up the hill and weigh them in. We didn't really know how that would work out. We just knew that we wanted to catch them as quick as we could and weigh them in as quick as we could. But we ended up catching 72 the first day. So that's 8 trips to the weigh-in stage. So it was pretty busy, and we just took turns going up there. But 10 bass at a time. And I think the next day we caught 30 or something, or I don't remember, 30 or 40. I don't know.
Wow. That's
so it was
good.
A lot of catching playing.
Nice. Now, Gene, if your phone was to ring and it's Casking and they're saying, hey, we got another tournament coming up, and we want you to get in a kayak that we'll provide over here in China, are you going?
Yeah, I'd have to get my passport, but definitely I'd go. And bring my PFD if they're supplying the kayak.
That would probably blow up on the plane ride.
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
We'll have that. We wore PFDs that went around the face like a fanny pack. that was one pretty neat deal that we had there.
Oh, so you got your guys' life jackets or personal flotation device for those people watching that don't know what that is. They were fanny pack, huh?
Yeah, So that being said, it looks like we weren't wearing life jackets, but we actually were. And the funny thing is they had a tremendous amount of safety out on that water. There were guys with their full, I mean, they looked like they were ready to do swift water rescues. They had their safety helmets on. There'd be like 3-man teams in these boats, and they were all, I bet there was probably one safety team per every 2 boats in this tournament. So they were all about safety there for sure.
Now, okay, this is a good question for you. Now, Gene, in your kayak series that you just fished with the Bassmaster Kayak Series, how do they officiate that? Do they follow you around? Do you have a secret guy, like a secret shopper that's keeping an eye on you guys from cheating?
No, I mean, I had a photographer with me the first day because I brought her along, and so I had an observer, but and she's a competitor herself, so she knew all the rules and stuff like that. So if anything would have happened with me that period of time, she would have been the observer. Plus, she's a police officer, so she's not going to perjure herself anyway. And so, but no, everything's done through that app, through Tourney X. And so when you catch the fish, you measure it, you take a picture of it, you submit it through Tourney X, and then you have judges that judge it and everything else. And there's a lot of rules and stuff with that. But other than that, it's all integrity and that kind of stuff. But they're really good. Those apps are really good at catching cheaters because it's just measuring. I mean, there's several things that people have tried, and it never works out good. So
now on the Chinese circuit that you guys just fished for MLF, how did they do that? Did you guys have, like you said, you had people all around with just deck to the gills for in case somebody went in to rescue? Did they have another boat dedicated to just say keeping an eye on you guys and making sure that make sure these Americans ain't pulling some fast ones?
There were cameras everywhere. I mean, our boats had similar to what I would consider YOLOTEX with I think live cameras on them. I think we had a drone on us the entire time, and believe it or not, every time you went in the back of a cove, there were cameras in the back of the cove with like little warning lights or somebody yelling at you in Chinese if you got too far back in the back of the cove. So it was kind of hard.
They had like do not fish
when you were in the boat because you knew you were on camera the whole time. Let's put it that way.
So they had like no-go zones?
Well, we believe that. They never told us in the tournament. We actually had a map. So we don't understand Chinese, so we just fished in those areas anyway because I think James and I deciphered that they weren't yelling at us. The actual things in the back of the coves were to yell at people that maybe were sneaking in there to fish from the shore. Because no one ever said anything to us. And when they did our meeting to go over where we could and couldn't fish, none of those areas were like marked off limits or anything like that. But when you don't speak Chinese, you can't understand if somebody's yelling at you in Chinese anyway. So,
all right. Now, Brent, did James bring along his snackle box?
No, but what did they call them, James? What did we have there?
So in China, Red Bulls are different. They're Red Bulls, small little fat cans, and they're called what were they called? Some kind of
I gotta look that up. And they made a whole like energy kit for us.
Basically it is Red Bull, but they just named it different for China.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny. They got a whole different name. I'll find it for you here in a minute. I'll scroll through my photos and find it. But it was pretty funny because it was more like a healthy drink.
Huh.
Yeah, I think it's got different ingredients. It's totally different.
Here it is. See, I'm pretty good. Well, no, that's some other plum drink that we drank right there. I'll find it though.
So you're not.
I got all kinds of souvenirs.
Are you going through your phone like as far as pictures go, Brent?
Yeah,
or are you Googling?
Here it is. Let's see if I can show it was in this little gold can, and it was Red Bull Vitamin Functional Drink.
Now we see it. There it is.
Drink.
Functional drink.
Functional drink. So, but they weren't as carbonated as an American version.
Which, sometimes you chug them, you end up getting that lock gut going on, you know what I mean? And you got like a big burp stuck and kind of things. So,
Yeah,
here's
I would say about going to China is they're flip-flopped on days and nights as we are here. Like right now, they're just getting up. And so that's one thing you got to deal with when you go there is you get off that plane and it's daytime basically, and you're used to going to sleep. So I had me about 3 or 4 of those Red Bulls the first day, and I usually don't indulge like that.
And our Cast King handlers were very good at keeping us with coffee. You know, that was our big thing is we needed coffee, and they don't drink a lot of coffee in China. And what was pretty cool is if we asked for a coffee, we never got one coffee. We always got 2 coffees. So it worked out really well for us.
Very nice. Nice. Now, all things aside, I mean, I know that there's been some little jokes here and there about the different cultural differences and things like that. Overall, what was your opinion, appreciations, likes, dislikes? Like, how did you feel overall about your trip? I'm sure to me it would be a great honor and just be neat and culture shock for sure. But what did you guys think?
You know, for me, the people were awesome. I mean, me as I get older, I'm very fascinated with history and different cultures. So to go there and spend a couple of days in Beijing and see a lot of the historical parts of Beijing were really cool. But what was more exciting was when we did the 4-hour trek, and apparently the city that we were in, according to the people in charge, we were the first real foreigners to ever be in the city. I find that hard to believe, but when we got there that morning and we finally found a coffee shop, we definitely got some strange looks. And Matt Becker had his girlfriend there, and she's got blonde hair. And these women, I mean, she was the hit because all the women there, they were like getting their pictures with her and all that. So that was really pretty neat. I mean, some of the things that were pretty cool about it were just how they drove over there. The driving, I would love to go to China and drive because the people over there drive how I would love to drive in the United States. If you come up behind somebody and they're driving too slow, you honk and you just go around them. If I thought for sure we would have seen a really bad accident or would have seen somebody on a bike or a scooter get run over. Never saw any kind of issues, never saw any road rage incidents, but people you drive over there the way you want to drive.
Wow.
What about you, James? I know you had some memorable times as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the same things. I think a couple takeaways for me, you know, the people in China are so hardworking, and that they seem to just be really in tune with just getting stuff done, and everybody's got something that they're doing, and all the streets there, you don't see any trash or paper. They keep everything pretty clean,
very, very clean,
and that's something that I noticed for sure. You'll see a lot of litter here, maybe in some areas that you just won't see that there because somebody's taking care of that, or the people are not doing that there. I never saw anybody litter, so I imagine it's the people really take care of that. But I did see a lot of people cleaning up, and just the history of China itself. I guess it's like a 400 or 4,000-year-old civilization. So all the history there, compared to this country, we're what, 250? Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, do the math really on that. Cool.
So hey, AJ, I saw somebody comment about the driving, but that's what was kind of cool about China too, is they drive just like we do. They drive on the right side of the road. The steering wheel's on the right side, or the left side of the car, just everything was the same as the States. But here's one other thing that was really cool, which I don't understand why we don't have this in the States, is their stoplights. When it was green, there was a timer on it that was counting down, this great big giant timer that was counting down, 30 seconds, 29. So you knew when you really needed to floor it and speed up to get through the green light. But then what was also cool is when it was red, you didn't have to sit there and stare at the light the entire time to go, when is the light going to change? You just kind of knew, hey, this is a good time. You could mess with your phone, or you could look 10 seconds, the light's going to change. So get ready to go. And I mean, that was one of those things that I'm like, why don't we do that here in the States?
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I mean, we do that for like crossing the road, the little road crossing things. So that's for pedestrians. So yeah, that's true. So, all right. Now, I did see a comment, speaking of comments, come through about what is your guys' favorite reels. Now, I'll start with Gene. Gene's been up there so well behaved in the top corner.
Dude, I'm getting an education. I'm enjoying every bit of this.
It's neat. Yeah. I mean, I can sit here like, I'm sure we could probably ask 100 other questions and keep it going. But I know Brent, he's got to get a nap in here pretty quick. So he's got a lot more farm work to do tomorrow, get caught up. But
get in the tree stand now. The work's done. It's time to go get in a tree.
Now it's time to go hunt. All right. So we definitely don't want to infringe on that. Are you hunting tomorrow?
I hope maybe in the afternoon, not in the morning, but in the afternoon. I hope.
Okay. So you get sleep in maybe. So
yeah,
not, but
we're good.
Gene, your favorite reel, casting reels. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be the MegaJaws 7-2-1 that you fished in the tournament, and that was your key thing that we're going to give away. So, guys, if you're watching, we're going to give one away. That's going to be a big giveaway, but we're also going to be doing another giveaway tonight. I might let Gene pick that one for us if he's feeling up to it, since he's the man of the hour. But favorite overall casting reel, doesn't matter spinning or bait casting.
So the most impressive one is the Kestrel.
Okay.
The Kestrel Elite. I just think that is the coolest reel, and I use it for certain techniques. I use it for skipping wacky rigs under docks and that kind of stuff. But it's just one of those that really impresses me. The one I use the most is the MegaJaws, 7.2 or 7.3, whatever it is. Just because this time of the year I'm throwing a lot of moving baits. Somebody asked a question about big swim bait reels. I use that one for 7-inch trick shads, buka trick shads or bull shad trick shads. And I've been using that all year long. Never had an issue with it at all. Throwing big, heavy baits, throw a 22 pound test, Tatsu. And I've caught 40 or 50 over 8 pounds this year, between 8 and 10 pounds on a trick shad using that reel. Now that reel is not on a Cast King rod, because Cast King doesn't make a swim bait rod that'll hold that, be able to cast that like I want to. So, but yeah, definitely the reel is just outstanding.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So you'd say your favorite or most used and go to, you adore the Kestrel for what it is, because it is a neat little thing. Now there's a carbon series and there's the Elite. The Elite is the magnesium alloy, which was basically the brainchild and eventually led to the MG12.
Yeah.
Brent, what is now granted, I know the Bassmaster is hard to beat.
Yeah.
So that's got to be something you at least mention, if not take top honors, but I'll let you.
Yeah. I mean, the Bassnators, without a doubt, because I've used them my whole entire time at Cast King, and they still work great. I mean, they're awesome reels, and give me an 8-1 with a chatterbait on it, and I'm right at home. But with that being said, the Speed Demon Elite for flipping pitching, that thing is absolutely phenomenal. And the one I'm really fallen in love with, and I wish I would have had much earlier in my career, is the MG12, because it's changed all these little baits that we can fish and cast now that were very, very difficult in the past. I mean, that reel is very, very impressive.
Nice. Okay. All right. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, Mr. Panda Bear, aka James Elam. He's still holding on to that thing. That is his not a service animal, but his service panda. So James, let us have it. What's your favorite go-tos, man?
So I like all the reels. I use 3 or 4 ones a lot, but day in, day out, the MegaJaws is my favorite. The 7 gear ratio and the 9 both. I use a lot of the 9 for flipping, pitching, dragging baits, anything that I fish slower, Texas rig, weightless, whatever, stuff like that, so I can catch up with those fish real quick and get the hook set. But I also use a 7, for winding baits, moving baits, just like Gene's talking about. If I'm cranking or spinner baiting, that's what I'm going to use. And just like Brent said, the MG12 is something that's really important in the arsenal. I use that for jerk baiting a lot, whether that's a small jerk bait or a larger one. Smaller crankbaits, I use that a lot. Cranking smaller, crankbaits, I do throw those a lot. And that reel can handle that lightweight bait, and it can throw it, much better than, any other bait caster out there. And you normally, in the past, have to use a spinning reel or spinning rod and, downsize your line and do that whole deal. But you don't have to anymore when you have the MG12. So Those were probably my favorite 2 models. I also use a Speed Demon, the Bassinator, and all that stuff. So pretty well-rounded there. It just depends on the right tool for the job.
Nice. All right. So now, Gene, I don't know if you can see our comment section. If you have another screen pulled
I have it
up,
up. Yep.
You maybe find a fun way. Now, granted, let's hope Gene is honest and he's not going to just see one of his buddies or friends or somebody in the comment section that he. And if he does, we'll never know, right? So, Gene, I need to give something away.
All right.
Oh, I got it upside down. There we go. Let's give away the new V15. Now, I'll let the viewer, whoever you pick, choose whether they want to do the V15 rod rack or they want to do the new V15 heavy duty rod rack, which when I turn you guys loose here shortly in just a few minutes, because I know James, it looks like he's already in PJs. He's got his service plushie ready to just crawl into bed. Fighting, staying awake. So you guys are beat. And Gene, I've had you on here for a while, so I'll let you guys go here in just a minute. But do me a favor before I introduce this V15 heavy duty to everybody. Let's pick somebody out of the comment section and just however you want to do it. Scroll back, forth, up, down.
I've been speed scrolling since you said it, so I'm just going to let it stop.
All right.
Devin Cartwright from Facebook.
Devin Cartwright. I know Mr. Devin, so he is going to be exceptionally happy for that. So, and he's a Facebook winner.
Yeah, he's on, at least the comment I'm looking at is on Facebook. So
let's be fair and let's go ahead and get ourselves a YouTube winner. If you can see those too.
Yeah.
Oh, you
let me
can't
see if I can stop my cursor on one. Closest one would be Shane J. McNair.
Shane McNair. Hey, I think I do know Shane too as well. So
these are all your buddies, huh?
I know, right? So there we go. So that was YouTube. And then, of course, Facebook. The easiest thing is these guys have been followers for quite a while, so it's always nice to reward those that are dedicated and always a part of the Casting family. So I got my Facebook winner and my YouTube winner. Gentlemen, hit me up on Facebook Messenger, a.j.gore, G-O-R-E. You guys obviously know how to find me easily, a guy in the straw hat. But for anybody else that ever watches this, that's how you find me and get me on there catching fish, and I will get all your information, get this sent out to you. So we got a YouTube winner and a Facebook winner. But guys, ladies and gentlemen, those of you guys that are watching, whether you're still live or you're watching this in the rebroadcast, you guys still have a chance to win an even bigger prize. Gene, you won that blue trophy back there, courtesy of a $140 reel. It's a MegaJaws Elite. It's an elite reel that's going to get out there and compete with some of the best reels on the market. But yet, if you think about it, compared to some of the reels on the market that are in that same criteria of elite status, it's a third of the price. But we're going to be hooking that up, all aluminum frame, the A and B self-adjusting centrifugal brake system, triple disc carbon fiber drag, 17.6 pounds of carbon fiber drag, 10+1 stainless steel shielded ball bearings. Got that low friction taper line. I could go on forever. And the flip switch. It works. So it works. It works, and it got you a blue trophy, and I'd imagine a considerably decent check.
Yeah,
so
pretty good check.
Good to you. We don't need it. The only person that needs to know that is the IRS and your accountant, and we'll let you handle that in next year. But so if you guys are watching rebroadcast or live, make sure you're commenting, make sure you're subscribed, and of course, hitting that thumbs up button. And we're going to pick a winner next week.
This may not be on topic, but I got a question to ask these two guys, because I found something during this tournament that helped me to really pinpoint fish quick. And I was wondering if they'd ever seen anything like it. So a couple years ago, I was fishing Caddo and Bistineau lakes for another tournament, and I found a pattern that had bass on what I thought were bluegill beds. It was in the fall, and every single bluegill bed that I side scanned that had fish on it, those were all bass. And I would throw a chatterbait through there and just jack them. And so I came back in September or late August, early September for a scouting trip for this tournament. And I found those again, and I marked a bunch of them, literally put waypoints all the way around them, and then came back for pre-fishing and went back and checked them again. And some of them had moved. Some of them had been abandoned, and some of them were fresh. And you could tell on your side scan whether they were fresh, and they all had bass in them. I would throw a shaky head and stuff like that to see if there were bluegill in there, and there weren't any bluegill. They were all bass. And so for the tournament, I ended up going to Bistineau because they were on that 8-foot, 9-foot drawdown. And same thing, you get into this 3 to 4 foot range on that lake, and it would be what looked like bluegill beds, but the holes in the bluegill beds were a lot bigger. They were still close together. And I would throw a spinner bait or a chatterbait through there, or drag a shaky head and catch all good keeper largemouth and not a single bluegill. And so I determined that it wasn't the bass, wasn't the bluegill that were making it, because if it had been bluegill beds on Bistineau, they were out of the water because the bluegill were spawning when the water was 9 feet higher. And so with it being that low, those were all fresh made beds and it was all bass. So I was just wondering if you had ever seen anything like that. Either one of you.
It's interesting to hear you say that, because now you make me realize that maybe I need to pay more attention to that. Honestly, in those type of settings, I probably don't use my side view enough, my side imaging, to be paying attention to that. But that makes a lot of sense. I mean, whether the bass were actually spawning or not, or if the bluegill were actually spawning at the time, I don't know. But I mean, if anything else, what it could be is those areas where there were beds maybe from earlier in the year might have just been a hard bottom, and the bass were relating to those hard bottoms, which happen to be those old beds, or maybe.
And that's what I originally thought. But because these bass moved around after the bluegill spawn, and because a lot of them showed really good freshness. And I talked to a guide on Chickamauga, my buddy in Turkey, and he said maybe they're getting down to that water that's 18, or the inside the bed's like 18 feet deep. I mean, inside the holes. I'm not even going to call them a bed, because I don't think I know they weren't spawning, but they were where they were positioned were places that were getting them just a little bit out of the current, and that water down in the bottom of those holes may have been a little cooler and have a little bit more oxygen or something like that. I'd love to dive it and just figure it out.
It definitely makes a lot of sense, but it just goes right there to show your attention to detail, and probably why you won that tournament is because you caught on to something a little more detailed than probably what the competition did. And sometimes that's the biggest difference maker. So congrats to you on that, for sure.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. It was an educational experience for me, for sure.
Now, Gene, these bass that you said that you saw on those, like what looked like beds or whatnot, were they suspended just off the bottom, or did they have their bellies down in the mud?
A lot of them were so far in it you couldn't see them until you threw something over top of them and pulled them out of those holes. Okay. And the bigger the holes, the bigger the fish. If I would go through, and you after scanning hundreds of them, you could tell the different sizes on the side scan. And if I found one that was usually close to bigger cypress trees and bigger clumps of cypress trees, they'd be off of them a little bit, but they'd be bigger. And that's where I'd catch the 18, 19, 20-inch bass. And they weren't always giant. They're usually, a lot of them were 5, 6, 8, maybe 10 holes, an 8 by 10 area. And matter of fact, my first fish of the tournament was on the river channel, right on the drop just before you got to the river channel. And I found it the last day of practice. And that's where I started. And I knew there were fish there. I didn't even scan it or anything. I just stopped, waited for lines in. Made one cast, he got bumped. On the third cast, I finally was able to get him to eat the spinnerbait, and it was a 19.5-inch fish. And I knew they were there, and I caught that one, got another bump, but that was it, and left when my cameraman finally showed up. So nice. Well,
gentlemen, I like that comment right there. Fluke giving up the juice right there.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of juice.
A lot of juice right there. So, well, Brent. James, I know James got his service plushie ready for bed in his PJs. Brent, I know you're tired, so and we've been on for just about an hour. Guys, absolutely appreciate you guys coming on. Thank you very much. As always, you guys are always great to have on the show, and we do appreciate it. I know the fans that tune in every week absolutely love it. Brent, before I let you go, what's your year shaping up like for the rest of the year, and what's your 2025 look like, and how can people follow you in your adventures?
2025 is definitely the Major League Fishing Bass Pro Tour. I know James and I are going to be battling it out, and I'm hoping this time next year, James and I are on there celebrating that we survived the top 50 cut. And so that's our big thing, or at least my big thing for next year, is to fish the BPTs and make that top 50 cut. You can follow me at Brent Chapman Fishing. And one thing, if people enjoyed the China trip and want to know more or learn more about it, we've been trying to ramp up our YouTube content, and Bobby the boss lady is putting together a YouTube video from our China tournament, so you can see James and I, and the good, the bad, the ugly of what we did in China, and hopefully people enjoy that. But yeah, Brent Chapman Fishing is the way to follow me, and we appreciate all the fans, and congrats to you, Gene, for winning the tournament, and also thank you for your service.
Thanks,
and
brother.
AJ, thanks for putting this on, and James, love fishing with you, and looking forward to fishing with you again.
Yeah.
Now, Brent, is that going to be on the Brent Chapman Fishing, or is that going to be on like the Pros versus Joe's YouTube? How can people find that video? I myself, as a fan, I want to watch it.
Just on YouTube on the Brent Chapman Fishing. So the Pros versus Joe's is different, and this will just be our weekly YouTube channel. There's stuff we'll put out on YouTube.
So probably see it in a week or two, maybe.
Yeah. Yep.
Perfect. And I don't want.
She just said next week. So
Next week.
no pressure to Bobby to get the video edited and get it out there.
Is it Brent Chapman Outdoors or Brent Chapman Fishing?
Yep. So Brent Chapman Fishing, you can watch them all, on YouTube.
Okay.
Perfect. And then of course we want to see that big deer that you get here pretty quick on Brent.
I'm hoping so that's the ultimate goal in the fall, is to go fill that tag early, and then I can shift gears and focus on 2025. I tend to get a little distracted chasing things with antlers on it. So hopefully we can get that done soon and then get back to fishing.
Perfect. James, how about you, man?
So yeah, 2025, fishing the Bass Pro Tour next year, fishing Red Crest, and I might jump in a few Toyota Series tournaments. Not really sure about that. Just gonna kind of have to see how things. But yeah, just same old next year. So just doing that, and getting some stuff done. I'm gonna go to Tampa to the Suzuki factory here in a few weeks, and just doing things like that. Got the boat. It's probably gonna be ready here in a couple weeks. Just taking care of business and doing a lot of stuff at home. Today I've been yesterday and today doing some dirt work outside, and I'm worn out from it. So doing a little bit of tractor work and then a little bit of work on the ground. So just stuff at home and stuff that you can't really get done during the fishing season. So that's the story here.
Excellent. Gene, before I turn these guys loose, is there anything you want to say to them real quick?
Dude, you guys know I've been fans of both of you for years and years. Brent more so than James, because he's been around a lot longer. But yeah, it's been fun to watch you guys and watch what's going on. It's fun being able to basically just be using the same rods and reels, be able to talk about them and help the whole Cast King family, and that's what it feels like, dude. This is one of those sponsorships that just feels like a really cool family. And it's good to have an owner of a company that cares and that wants to continue to improve product and make things better. So it's cool.
That's awesome. Now, Gene, if you ever get a jersey, I gotta get it up here on the family too.
Yeah, I've got one I can give you.
What? Get out of here. Okay.
Yeah. What do you need, James?
Gene, I gotta know what are your your top 5 fluke colors?
White ice. White ice, and white ice.
All right, get some white ice.
Can we get some white ice, please?
That's the only color I ever throw. I used to buy it in bulk until they yellow out before I had a chance to use them all. So,
oh man,
yeah,
nice,
bone
nice.
ice.
Yes, exactly. Well, James, Brent, I'm gonna go ahead and turn you guys loose, and then I'm gonna finish up with Gene, and you guys have a great. Oh, he's got his service plushie. He's ready for bed too. All right, you guys go get in bed and hold on to your pandas and think of each other and your time in China together and and sweet dreams. So thanks, Brent. Have a great night.
All right. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Get some sleep, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. See you, Brent.
See you later, James. All right, Gene. So you're still with us. Anything that you want to say to what do you got going on at the end of 2024? Because you're always busy. I mean, for one,
so
you've been banging out YouTube for years.
Yeah, I've slowed down a little bit with YouTube, but my son's doing my editing now, but he's got a job and going full time to college. So it's kind of we're actually after we're done here, he's bringing the video of the tournament, and we're going to do some voiceover and stuff like that for that video.
Okay.
And it should be out in the next couple of days, dude.
Perfect.
You guys, I caught the winning fish with 15 minutes left in the tournament. I mean, it bumped me from 4th place to 1st place. It was a $92 or $9,300 fish, and so yeah, it's going to be a really good video. I just need to do some voiceover to explain a few things and that kind of stuff. But new for this year, I've got Starlink on my kayak, and I'm going to be doing TikTok lives and YouTube lives from my kayak. I'll be doing TikTok lives from there during tournaments, and I've got the Georgia, the Bass Nation Kayak Series Georgia Championship coming up in 2 weeks, I believe. Pre-fishing starts next Monday, not this coming Monday, but as we could say in the South, Monday week. And then the following Saturday, Sunday will be that tournament on Lake Hartwell, and I'll be doing lives probably both days there because I've already qualified for the championship. I don't really need to, I'm not going to be doing it super serious. I'm going for big fish for that tournament, and if I win it, I win it. So
nice.
But yeah, you can find my TikTok it's actually Flukemaster 1 is what my TikTok is. And then, and like I said, it'll also be doing live on YouTube every once in a while. I might even do that during practice.
Perfect. Well, what's your, so you're going to be focusing on getting those TikToks and those YouTube lives going.
Yeah.
What's your tournament circuit look like? You still going to primarily focus on the Bassmaster Kayak Series? Or
I didn't do it serious this year. That tournament was the only Bassmaster kayak that I fished the entire year, just because they were going to 2 of my favorite lakes in the country. And so I was able to pick and choose tournaments that I wanted to fish, or tournaments that my travel partner spent weeks talking me into fishing. And that's how I qualified for the Georgia State Championship, was just fishing ones that he wanted me to come fish with him.
What was that trend that was going around for a while where it's like, feeling lucky, might win a Bassmaster?
Oh gosh.
That's your new one now.
It went like that. My goal in this tournament was to finish in the top 5, so I didn't have to be serious about trying to win the Georgia State Championship. So that was my goal, and I just happened to win it. So
that's I mean you fish every tournament with the hopes to win, but I mean, if you're gonna do one, that's one to do and just knock it out of the ballpark, man. Well, kudos to you. So 2025, does it motivate you to get more involved into tournaments even more so?
No, not really. Not really. I do it kind of to prove it to myself, and just kind of, and pick and choose. If I was to do it serious, I'd never be home. And I like to be home when my kids are home. I got my 2 youngest are still in, my son's going to be a senior next year, and my daughter's going to be a sophomore. And so I just want to be home and be able to do that kind of stuff, and be able to pick and choose when I go fishing and when I don't. That's the one thing I hate about tournaments is the weather's bad. You still got to fish. For me, I just want to go home. I'd rather just kind of hang out and wait for the weather to get good. So
I get it, man. Absolutely fantastic. Well, Gene, thank you very much for coming on the show, dude. Kudos on the win. I mean, and then of course, thank you again from myself, and I'm sure probably anybody that's ever really watched any of your videos. And to those of you who don't know who Gene Jensen is, which is kind of rare in this industry of fishing, but for those of you that don't know, I know here on the West Coast, I'm going to say it, we suck compared to the East Coast as far as like the attention span on what. Dude, the East Coast fishing compared to West Coast fishing, East Coast is really doing great things. West Coast is a little behind, in my opinion, and we need to step it up. So here's an East Coast guy that has been teaching the world to fish one video at a time for how many years now, Gene?
I think I'm in my 16th year.
Wow. 16 years, man. That's killer. So, guys, do me a favor. Go to YouTube. Don't do me a favor. Do yourself a favor. Go to YouTube and give him a subscribe and just go through this just extensive library of videos and just learn something. I mean, learn something. Like you did a video that I always like tell people whenever I introduce them to who you are, and go, dude, the guy put out a video on how to back your boat into the water. Yeah. And it may seem like a waste of time to a lot of people, but there was some great information in just that, let alone all the different things on how you pick a lake apart, bodies of water, how you find fish, the way you rig things, different knots, things of that nature. Gene, you've been a class act for a long time. Thank you for doing it, and thanks for keep doing it. And also thank you for keeping your values with family. That's awesome, dude. So a lot of people we can learn a lot from you, man. So appreciate you coming on. Anything you want to tell anybody before I kick you off?
Well, we gotta pick the winner for this reel too. So
Well, that's going to be next week.
Dadgummit, I wanted to do it.
Well, Well, if you are available, I know
I'll be
you
available.
If you're available, I'll let you pick the winner and come on. Oh, wow. Look at that. That's a beautiful reel. What is your opinion on that?
I don't know yet. I hold my opinion until I'm about 2 months into using one. So
I haven't used it. I don't own it yet.
Yeah, that one doesn't even have line on it yet. I got it the other day. So yeah, I always wait. That's one thing about me is I'll say it's beautiful and that's about it.
It is beautiful. And that goes to show you guys, I don't get everything that they make. I don't get it all. I mean,
I've been begged for this one. Nikki got it before I did. And I was like, wait a minute.
Like, that's not fair. Yeah. See, Nikki got one. I don't have one. Jeez, I tell you. I'm slacking. So,
yeah.
But right on. So, well, Gene, anything you want to tell anybody before I let you go?
The biggest thing is guys, well, like I say on the end of every one of my videos, just introduce somebody to fishing. You know, you get friends and stuff that want it, and I'll go a little bit further than that here in just a second, but you got friends that want to go fishing, and don't be afraid to invite them, even if it's bank fishing and that kind of stuff. It just takes one fish. They catch one fish and they're like, how do I learn more? And then I've got an extensive beginners playlist that I've been putting together for years that goes from getting a license all the way to catching your first fish, you know, lures and everything else. And I base all of my beginning videos in the back of my head. I'm thinking about a single mom who's got kids that want to learn how to fish, but there's no dad, there's no uncle, there's no grandpa, whatever else. And mom is very, very intimidated to go into a tackle shop and ask old Bubba behind the counter to teach her what she needs to do. And so that's kind of how I base my videos, is towards people who absolutely have no clue, but want with everything that they have to be able to do it. And a tackle shop is very, very intimidating to those people. And so I want them to be able to understand that there's some basic things that they can do and get and put together and things like that for themselves or their kids and stuff like that. My calling in life is teaching people how to fish. And that's the reason why I'm the YouTuber that never quit. As hard as it got, and it's even harder now than it's ever been to grow and to make money and that kind of stuff. I don't care. My sponsors pay my wife to let me do this, and I get to go do it. And so that's why I do what I do. So
that's fantastic.
Yep.
So I don't know if you can see this comment right here. Ray says, this is my first year of bass fishing, and I've been watching him since I decided to start bass fishing. So I know that from somebody years ago that would watch things like this, anytime you get a shout out, Ray, you got Gene here reading your comments, man. So
yeah, Ray, I appreciate it, man. That's awesome. Just take it in small doses. Don't get it all at once, man, because you'll get overwhelmed. There's a lot of information there. I've got 900 videos, and yeah, just take it in small chunks and go out and learn a technique at a time and have fun with it.
Always keep learning, and always know that there's more to learn. That's the best thing too.
Yes.
So now, Gene, this actually is a topic that is it's no wonder it got brought up, but you and I both have been on a weight loss journey. Gene, yes. I think I don't know what your number is. I lost 52 pounds since June 1st. How much have you lost since you started?
I'm at 85 pounds since Christmas.
Wow. Yep. Now, he wants to know what the secret sauce is. I'll let you give up yours.
So I started and I did start with an appetite suppressant drug. And I went through a company called Sequence, which is now owned by Weight Watchers. And so it's still the same thing. It's just Weight Watchers ended up buying them. Okay. But it's, a shot a week. And then and what that did is it gave me the motivation and the push to figure out how to eat right and how to totally change what I liked and my diet, and understand what food is treats my body well and what food I should stay away from, because either the chemicals or the processing, the way they process the food and stuff like that, it hurts. The best way to explain it is it hurts my body. From tendonitis to all kinds of stuff. So through this whole journey, I basically have started to eat clean. And I already grew a garden. I've been a gardener my whole life. I understand how to make things from scratch, because that's what my dad did growing up, and I learned how to do all that. So I just went back to my roots and what I learned, and I bake my own bread. I make my own soups, my own broth, and everything else. And it's a little bit of extra work, but once you get it going, it's fine. And I'm at the point now where it's low carb, no sugar. You know, even the bread is all sourdough, so it doesn't hurt my stomach, and it doesn't do hardly anything to that way. And I just limit the amount that I eat. You know, I'll have bread once a week, that kind of stuff. But mainly, once you get your body, and I'm borderline diabetic when I'm off my diet, is basically what I am. I'm from a family of borderline diabetics and type 2 diabetics, and I got a sister who's a type 1. And so when I go on these low carb, no sugar diets, my blood sugar flatlines, and it does exactly what it needs to do and what it's supposed to do. And I don't crave sugar anymore, which is great. I don't crave the carbs anymore. And the only thing I crave is I love salty things. And so I gotta limit that stuff. But yeah, dude, it's the biggest thing I learned is that the food that we eat in the US, just like Brent and them were saying about the food in China, most of it's not good for us. And they've tried to convince us for years that it's good for us so they can make money. And so if you do a little bit of studying and stuff like that and stay away from the fatty trends and that kind of stuff, just understand what clean food is and what you can eat. And that's kind of how I've done it. And it's real easy. I just had some homemade chicken soup just before I got on here, and I eat one good meal a day, and then I eat hard-boiled eggs. I got some chickens. I've had them for years, but I eat hard-boiled eggs for breakfast every morning. So
perfect. So now my diet is kind of just the opposite, but Helen, kudos to you for losing 60 pounds over the last year. That's awesome. But so my diet, so every year I manage 3 different automotive locations here in Arizona. And of course, in Arizona, it gets a little hot, right? So one of our locations is in the Phoenix area, which, I mean, we have 122-degree days, you know, in Phoenix at times. In my hometown of Globe, we average anywhere between 108 to 112 on our hot days. And I'm outside a lot. I'm also, I specialize in a lot of exhaust work, catalytic converter work, diagnostic things, not just management, but I'm a hands-on kind of person. So I'm constantly out there working, you know what I mean? And every summer I would lose a bunch of weight because I don't eat during the day because it's just hot. It's hot. You can't eat a meal and feel worth a darn going right back out there getting to work. So I never really was a big breakfast person. So I'd cut out lunches. And so every summer I would drop like 10, 15 pounds, no problem. But the weekends would roll around, and what do? I eat like a glutton and drink beer and have a good time and just enjoy the weekend, whatever way I chose. Well, this year I thought, you know what? I got up to 230 pounds. And it's funny because Tate, the owner of Cast King, and his wife actually visited me here in my hometown, and I took him fishing and took him out to eat Mexican food at one of my favorite restaurants because Arizona's got some amazing Mexican food places, especially my little hometown, and fed him. And there's a photo of me that I didn't like sitting there with Tate and his wife and my wife. I thought, dang, man, I was 230 pounds, 232, somewhere in there in that photo, which is usually my heaviest. I don't think I've ever gone past 232, but I was staying right there in that 225, 230 range. And I thought, you know what, June 1st, I'm going to start that whole, it's hot. I'm going to eat once a day, but I'm going to do it on the weekends too. And I'm going to stay to that and start to cut out sodas and drink less. And it's not that I'm a big drinker. I mean, Gene, you know, years ago, I used to love to party, and it was,
I gave you the hardest time too.
You did. So, and I deserve it. You know what I mean? But it was almost a competition with a lot of people like, hey, you ready to party down? And I ended up being the guy that partied the most and hung in there, but it's not good for you, you know? And I still will drink the occasional beer here and there and enjoy, you know, a little recreation, but cut out a lot of sodas, cut out a lot of beer. I eat once a day. After 5 o'clock, I'll eat. And that's what I did from June 1st to basically about a week and a half ago. I got to 178 is the lowest, from 230 to 178 since June 1st. And the way I did it was, like I said, intermittent fasting.
Yep.
And drink water throughout the whole day to make sure I'm hydrated, plenty of vitamins because I'm depleting myself of a lot of normal intake and stuff.
Yep.
And just stay on top of that. And then I'd eat I had no regulation as to what I ate for dinner though. Right now with your concept, of, like you said, be smarter and eat cleaner if I want to go ahead and keep thinning out, because I still have those little, like, you know, the I've got loose skin, as you can imagine, and I'm not like drooping, you know what I mean? Like you see some of those people that have lost 200 pounds and it's just this horrible sag. It's nothing like that, but I can definitely say I can grab a love handle that was a little more meatier, and now it's a little, it's like, okay, well, I can still stand to shrink up a little more. So I've never had a 6-pack, dude, other than something I've digested, right? Yeah. I've never had a 6-pack in my life, but I'd love to have a 6-pack by maybe this time next year or going into the summer. And I think it's achievable. I mean, I could start to see a little definition there. I'm like, dude, am I going to be 45 years old with a 6-pack for the first time in my life? That's crazy. So I'm trying to eat a little cleaner as of my meals now. And since it's all just been intermittent fasting, and my wife got me into mountain biking because I used to ride motocross hard growing up, but I destroyed my knee in 2007. Had to get a cadaver knee, crushed my femur, broke my fibula, broke my tibia, tore the ACL, tore the meniscus, lateral meniscus, and blah, blah, blah. So that changed a lot of things, you know, of course, having a family. So, but now my wife got into mountain biking. I'm like, if I'm going to spend that on a mountain bike, I'm going to buy a dirt bike. Jeez, Louise. But her and my buddy who own a bike shop, they won. They made me go on a couple trips, you know, and provided the bike. And now I've got 2 mountain bikes that belong to me back there behind the scene. Gosh. She's got 2. Yeah. So we've got what some people spin in a boat and mountain bikes back there. You know, it's insane. But I've lost a lot of weight. I get that, and I got that exercise. Like tomorrow, I'll be up at 5 a.m. I'll ride about 4 miles on that thing, which isn't much, 4 or 5 miles, but that's my warm up. And then I come back and hit the weights, and then I do some cardio, and then I got to get a shower, get to work. And then now, like you said, I've changed my protein and doing it that way.
I don't have I have a gym membership, and I go when I can go, and I usually go when I'm on the road. But if anybody's out there that's trying to get started, I'm going to break it down pretty simple. And I got a really good way of breaking this down. Understand that when you eat carbs and sugar, your insulin spikes. And what the insulin is, and they don't explain this very well anywhere in the world except for a few places, insulin is a blocker. Insulin will block your body from burning fat and make it to where your body only burns the sugar that you create. That's why for a few hours after you eat carbs or sugar, your stomach starts grumbling, you start to feel hungry, and you have to eat again. That's why restaurants give you bread at the beginning of the meal, because by the end of the meal, your stomach's going grumble, and you sometimes have room for dessert and that kind of stuff. But anyway, so your insulin spikes. If you can go 24 to 48 hours without sugar and carbs, your insulin tanks and your body starts burning fat. And after 2 days to 3 days, sometimes 4, depending on whether you cheat or not during that period of time, your body you will get more energy from burning your own fat, and you will be less hungry. You'll actually, after about 4 days to a week, you'll get to the point where you have to force yourself to eat. And that's when you can start intermittent fasting. And that's when you can get into it. And the biggest thing I can say about intermittent fasting is where I do the best is I have big salads when I do break that fast. And I'll have it in the evening between 5 and 7. I'll have a big healthy salad, but I even like ground beef on my salads. You know, it's not always skinny food, but big salad, lots of salad dressing, good healthy salad dressing and stuff like that. But yeah, guys, if you can get your insulin to drop and your body to start burning fat by starving it of sugar and carbs, you'll feel better than you felt in many, many, many years, and you'll be able to see quick weight loss. But then you have to get to the point where you're changing your diet and you're not going back to the crap. So.
And did you have any stalls here and there, like where you'd hit a certain weight and stall?
I'm actually I'm in a 2.5 to 3 month stall where I've been between 198 and 192, and mostly 193, 194, but I've been kind of up and down. I'm in a major stall. And the way I'm going to get out of that as soon as my son comes home from his 2-year mission trip tomorrow. And so we're going to celebrate as a family and stuff like that. But after all that, I'm going to go on a 48-hour fast, which I do very rare. I'll do a 48-hour fast, and then I'll be able to go back into intermittent fasting and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, my wife's wanting to get on like a 48-hour to 72-hour.
It's not that bad. 48's not bad. I wouldn't recommend anything more than that, because then you get into the 72 hours and you start losing muscle mass and that kind of stuff. But 48, you're still burning good fat, and it gets your body into quick ketosis. So
you heard it, guys. And this guy is a professional at a lot of things, and he has a little bit of medical knowledge too under his belt. So little bit there. Now, did you give up potatoes? The public wants to know. Did you give up some potatoes?
Yeah. And to a point, on a cheat day, I'll have a potato or have something with potatoes in it every once in a while. But I've never been a huge potato fan anyway. And so it's just, for me, it's bread, dude. I have to stay away from bread and tortillas and that kind of stuff. And I found out years ago through trial and error and experimentation that it has to be organic bread, because non-organic bread has basically Roundup in it. And my body reacts to Roundup within 5 minutes of eating that kind of bread. And most bread has that now. It's called glyphosate, but it's Roundup. And they use it to kill the wheat prior to harvest, so they can harvest it a little early and be able to get another crop in. So it saves them money and makes them money. So, I can trace it all the way back to 1997, where I know where I was when my symptoms started. And that is 5 months after the FDA approved the use of it on wheat. And so that's, it's kind of a conspiracy theory, but it's not for me, because I proved it using my own body and not somebody else's opinion. And so, yep.
Roundup was also linked to cancer.
Yep. And they use it on almost all wheat that's not organic.
Not trying to hate on you, Roundup. I mean, we're just talking. So
well, it is what it is. But yeah, I can. I was diagnosed for years with everything from gastritis, irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux disease, everything else, and I ended up being able, through dieting, learning what I can and can't eat, figuring out that, wait a minute, it's bread, it's the wheat that's causing this. So then I went back and I said, okay, what did the FDA approve prior to the spring of '97 when those symptoms started? Because I was in AIT at Fort Sam Houston, Texas. It happened after every meal. I knew exactly where I was when it would happen. So summer of '96, they approved glyphosate for use on wheat. And that's actually the beginning of all of the gluten issues that people have had too. The beginning of the gluten craze was '97.
Oh man! All right, now you could go down the whole conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah. And I'm
with you, but I'm just like,
you can go down a rabbit hole if you start taking other people's opinions. But like I said, I tried it on my own body, and it took 15 years to figure it out. It wasn't an instant thing. Yeah. And so, yeah, if I can just stay away from it, and within 5 minutes, I know it's got it in there, because I started to belch and get gassy and that kind of stuff. So,
wow. Well, you know what? And that's it too. And that would probably be my last little bit of advice to people is, if you know your body, trust it. You know what I mean? And that's an argument I get with my wife all the time, because she's on her own diet path and she's lost a bunch of weight, and she actually talks to a dietitian, and she gives me crap sometimes for what I do versus to what her dietitian tells her. And I go, listen, I'm not saying I know everything. I just know what works for me. And then, of course, I used to be, in the MMA industry, and we used to help get fighters ready. And one of the things we would do in a fighter regimen is they didn't go on their diets alone. We would go on it with them. You know what I mean? It's like a buddy system. So there were times where, and then I could watch, would be trying to get a guy ready to make weight, and we're helping him train. And all of a sudden I'm like, damn, I can make weight too. Like, that's crazy. So, and you can dump weight fast in certain ways and things to that nature. But again, trust your body if you know it. If you don't know it, learn it. Get in touch with it and learn it.
It's okay to experiment with food. Just don't throw too many drugs in the middle of it.
No, that's not the experiments we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, no, different experimentation there. That's a Joe Rogan podcast. But anyway, I love Joe. Don't get me wrong. But well, Gene, we've been on here for going on an hour and a half, dude. I appreciate you coming on. I know that you've got a lot of other podcasts that you've been on lately, especially with that big blue trophy back there. You've got more. I think you're on Nikki's show.
Yep.
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, it'll be tomorrow. I'll be on my phone because I'll be on the road probably. But yeah.
Okay. And then you've got
Definitely.
another one on Friday that you're hosting, so people can follow you there. So before I turn you loose, how can people follow you I mean, obviously plug Flukemaster on YouTube as much, but
Yep.
get that TikTok and everything else in there.
Yeah, TikTok's Flukemaster. It's actually Flukemaster 1 because some college kid took Flukemaster when TikTok was new, and I can't get him to delete the inactive account. And TikTok's harder to work with. Instagram, you could just tell them, "Hey, I own the brand," and they would delete the account. So if I keep messaging him on Facebook and I never get a response, so I might have to get a lawyer involved just to make sure it happens. But I hate to do that. That's not me.
Business,
and then so Flukemaster 1 on TikTok, Flukemaster everywhere else that I can be on X and everything else. You can find me there. My goal is with X is to do a short video of my new Starlink on the kayak and see if I can get Elon Musk to share it. That'd be really, really cool.
Dude, that'd be rad as can be. That'd be awesome.
But the biggest thing I'm going to focus on this next year are lives. I'm on the water so much, and that's the reason why I put Starlink on there, is because I want to be able to get on live and be able to do a Q&A on the water. You guys get on there, ask me questions. I can pull gear out right then and there and show you exactly what's going on, how to do it, and show you the fish finders and everything else. I got no secrets. And so, and I tell my buddies who have secrets, don't tell them to me because I got no secrets.
We already know Gene will give up the juice.
I will. I'll give up the
same
juice.
way. I'm the same way. I'm not that guy that colors the background out when he catches a good fish.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'll post GPS coordinates and what I was using and what time of day it was and what I had for dinner that night and everything. So,
I color the background out, but we do art contests. If you ever want to color your background out, get into a back and forth art contest with me, and we'll do art behind the fish and make it look like mountains or whatever else. It's pretty fun.
Oh, that's awesome. Fantastic. Now, Gene, you said you wanted to be available you want to give away that reel, which I think is even cooler.
If I can get on next, I'd love to give it away.
Let's work it out. If it doesn't happen, ladies and gentlemen, no promises.
Yeah.
But Gene might make a small cameo to personally call your name out, whoever you might be, to win that reel. Now, what would be also really cool is if it would just be a logistical nightmare. So I won't even go that way. So maybe I'll share it with you later what I was thinking, but it's a logistics nightmare. But guys, if you want to win the reel, and I'll let you pick your choice, whether you want the 9:1 or the 7:2 gear ratio MegaJaws Elite Baitcaster that Gene used right over there to win that blue trophy right there. Comment. Make sure you're subscribed, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook. Always make sure you're subscribed. Get that notification bell on. And make sure you're commenting. That's how we're going to find you, is in the comment section. Randomly pick a winner. And we'll see if we can maybe we can give 2 away. We'll see. We'll see if you guys play your cards right. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it. Gene, thank you very much for coming on. You stuck it out. I appreciate it. You had no coffee going with you or anything like that I know of. So I've seen you drinking water. But yeah, so I'm sure that bladder's thanking you right now. So, but definitely let you go. Gene, congratulations on the weight loss. Congratulations on that blue trophy back there. And it's been a pleasure to have you on. So
thanks, AJ.
About
dang time.
So finally. So appreciate it. Guys, check him out if you want more of Gene tomorrow night on Nikki's show. And then of course catch him on Friday night on his. Is that going to be on YouTube or is that going to be on Facebook?
YouTube.
TikTok?
It'll be on YouTube.
Okay. So for your show Friday.
Yeah, Friday night. I'm not sure what time yet, either 8 or 9 Eastern. So
okay. And then Nikki's, obviously, you guys know, it's on YouTube. So, all right, Gene. Well, thank you very much. And you have a great night, man.
All right. We'll see y'all.
Guys, that's going to do it for me. And like I said, if you guys aren't following us on YouTube or Facebook, make sure you are. Hit that subscribe button and, of course, or that follow button. And then, of course, if you guys aren't subscribed to us on TikTok, Casking USA on TikTok, as well as Casking USA on Instagram. Always watch out for those fishy, suspicious pages that may seem like they're casking, but if you're not sure, don't engage with them until you reach out to somebody and find out, is this truly casking? Because, man, we hate people to get upset with us because they thought we were casking and it wasn't casking. It was somebody being a scam artist. Scam artists are liars. They're dishonest. It's not us, but we hate to see our fans get bamboozled by somebody pretending to be us. So always reach out to somebody that you know is legit with casking. Say, is this legit, guys, before you engage with them. And then, of course, if you're watching right here on Facebook or YouTube, you already know. Guys, thank you very much for hanging out with us for an hour and a half. It's been a great show, and hopefully I call your name out, or well, not me. hopefully Gene comes back to call your guys' name out next week for that reel. Oh, before I let you go too, guys, check this out. Let me show you guys something. I want to show you right here. This is a product that is new right now on the website. We're giving one away. We gave one away to the winner, whoever wants to get it. But check it out right here. It's the new V15 rod rack, guys. I got so distracted by our guests, I almost forgot to talk about this more. So let's make sure we talk about it. This is the new V15 rod rack, which the V15 rod rack is nothing new, really, but this model is because it is the V15 heavy duty. Milton, this is all about you, bro, because I know you fish a lot of saltwater stuff and you have a lot of the heavy duty rods. But check this thing out. If I can get it out of the plastic here. This is the V15 rod rack. Shares very similar design to our already established great V15 rod rack. Mounts in 18 inches of wall space, which is your standard mounting for a lot of framing, things like that. It will mount to studs and it will mount to drywall. Hardware is included. But look at this thing. It is a lot more robust. So it is a beefy design over the original V15. Okay. Now the V15 rod rack is on sale right now for around $15 to $13, depending on which color you get. This guy's coming in at an introductory price of $19.99. Now, if you see right here already on Amazon, there is a 30% off coupon. Make sure you guys redeem that before you put it to your cart and get yourself a big, heavy-duty, robust V15 rod rack. Same design. This one's just built thicker and heavier to basically grab and hold on to those rods by themselves. So my ceiling is too low, but I happen to have a big, heavy-duty rod right here. All it does is you just wedge that sucker right in there, and look at that. I'm holding that rod up just with the rod rack right there. One little thing right there suspends that guy off the ground. This is a combo too, guys. This is a combo. So it is that strong that you can just wedge it right there into it. Wait, I've got it tilted sideways. But you just push it in there and not move it around and bump it, that thing is really going to hold on to it. Now, on my earlier broadcast years ago, when the V15 first came out, I had that thing mounted right next to a dartboard that I used to throw darts at while I was waiting for viewers to come on or guests to come on, and never once out of throwing aggressively, whatever, and those darts hitting that wall, that was literally, here's the dartboard, here's the rod rack, those rods and reels never fell off. And now you have a heavy-duty version for you good boys and girls out there from your friends at Casking. Guys, check it out. Make sure you jump on it. It's the V15 Rod Rack HD heavy duty version. $20. Apply 30% off to that. Save some money and get it just in time for the weekend for all your fishing adventures. Guys, that's going to do it for me. I will see you guys next week. Have a great night. Deuces.